What's up, guys? And ladies. Punker Mike coming at you with the Marvel Legends Repaint Quickie. So I recently picked up the Marvel Legends retro carded Shocker. Throwback to the animated series / old school Toy Biz line. And you got to give it up for Hasbro Marvel Legends. This is a great figure. It's a lot of great sculpt detail. You got the pinless joint technology, extra hands, and just overall great figure. And what a nice upgrade from that modern Shocker they released on that Bucky Cap mold. I mean, this one's so much better. My only bit of criticism would be the lack of paint. So especially like in the pleated lines on his costume, you got some beautiful sculpt detail, but there's no paint to really make it pop. So I'm going to go through and fill in some of these lines. Even on the brown parts, you have this like nice leather texture. I might do a little bit of dry brushing on that just to let all this beautiful sculpt on the figure kind of pop a little bit. So before I do anything, I'm going to prep the figure for paint. So starting off, I'm going to clean up the figure using some warm water, a little bit of dish soap, a toothbrush, and some rubbing alcohol. And I'm going to do this just to make sure to get all like the oils and grease from the factory, everything off the figure so I have a nice clean surface to paint on. So with my toothbrush, I already have a little bit of dish soap on there, and so I'm just going to scrub the figure, get all the spots on there, get a nice suds on there, and then rinse it off with the warm water. And obviously this would be easier to do under like a sink in your bathroom or kitchen, but just for filming purposes, it's easier just to kind of pop this on my desk real quick. And with the rubbing alcohol, what I'll normally do, I'll pour some into a red cup and then put the figure or whatever in the red cup and kind of slosh it around, kind of coat the figure in the rubbing alcohol, and then go do another once over with the toothbrush. After that, then rinse it off really good. Pat dry it, and then you can either let it sit to dry or hit it with the blow dryer. And from this point on until I'm finished, I'm not going to touch the figure unless I'm wearing gloves, just to make sure when I'm painting, the paint doesn't run off or contaminate the paint with like the oils and everything from my fingers. So I'm going to be hand painting the lines with just a thin brush, and I'm going to be using washes instead of just like thick paint. So instead of using just like a black or a brown paint, I'm going to use some light washes just to help accentuate the sculpt. I didn't want to overpower the figure with these thick lines, something that's going to seep into the lines and help make that sculpt really pop. So I got my thin brush and I'm using a couple different Citadel shades, which is a wash. I'm using this yellow. It's a Casandora yellow. I'm using about 70% of that mixed with a Seraphim sepia, which is like a brown sepia. I'm using about 30% of that. And then I have like a black shade, which is a Nuln oil, and I'm using about like 5% of that.
That's 105%.
So I'm just going to rip through and bust out these lines. If I make a mistake, I could just wipe it off or get a little bit of rubbing alcohol on a Q-tip and kind of precisely kind of wipe away any imperfection. So after filling in all the lines, I did notice on the remaining part of the costume, like the brown parts, there was some paint imperfections where like the stencil missed its mark. So I mixed some brown with some red together to match up that color of brown, and I just did some touch-up spots just to make the paint job look a little cleaner. And after finding the color to match, I added some lighter browns and some flesh tone to lighten up that paint, and then I did a couple dry brush passes just to help some of that like leathery sculpt pop a little bit more and give the figure just a little bit more depth. And if you're not familiar with the dry brushing technique, you're just getting a little bit of paint on your brush, passing it on the figure, and it helps just get some of that paint sculpt just to pop. So you're not putting a fat layer of paint on there, it's just a little tiny pass of paint, and you're doing small amounts at a time. Alright, so after all the paint dried and cured, did a couple passes of some clear coat to help protect all that paint work I just did, and now the figure's ready for assembly. So I'm pretty stoked how the figure came out. It was an already amazing looking figure. I just added that extra little detail to help all that sculpt pop and just made the figure just that much better. And I hope this video inspired you guys. You could check out some of my other videos, subscribe if you haven't already. You could check me out on Instagram. My handle is punker_Mike, and we'll see you next time.